Hey everyone, Retire on Dividends here. I know it's unusual. I'm actually recording myself, but it's time for another portfolio update. Before we get into the numbers, just wanted to kind of explain how I'm going to cover it going forward. So obviously, you guys are familiar with my options trading for the most part, the dividend car account. So those are two separate accounts. So we'll talk about how much I made on the Retire Now account, which is my active account where I do the options. And then we'll go into the dividend car account, which is kind of the automated account where we buy into the high yield funds, mostly the weekly paying ETFs. And then what we'll do is we'll combine those two incomes along with YouTube income and now X income. I'm lucky enough to add that into the mix. And then I'll compare that versus my monthly expenses to see, is that enough to retire off of? Because that's what we'll do going forward. We'll track to see how close we are to actually retiring on dividends and, of course, other income sources. So I'm going to pull up the spreadsheet and we'll get right to it. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. And then I'm going to take myself out of the picture so you guys can see the full screen. All right, so what we have here is the Retire Now account. So we'll cover this one first. And as you can see, the month of July, we have what I have basically, I have an estimated capital and I have an estimated income. The estimated capital, it's pretty straightforward. It's based on the prior estimates capital, and it adds in and adjusts. It takes out the mortgage, again, which comes out of the account, and then it adds in the estimated income that's expected. So for the month of July, I was expected to have an estimated capital of $53,000. All right. Now, based on that capital, actually based on the prior month's capital, I would, and a 50% yield, I was expected to have an income of $2,173.37. And the reason, let me see if I could zoom in a little more, make this bigger for you guys. I think 175 might be good. Yeah, that's perfect. All right. So the reason I multiply my 50% yield, again, that's my goal. That's an annualized yield goal for this account. The reason I use the prior month's capital is by the time I get the new month's capital, ideally, it'll be too late. So of course, if I'm expected to yield 50%, it's more than likely based on the beginning balance of the prior month's capital. So that's why I use the prior month's capital when I multiply that by the 50%. So my goal was $2,173 for the income. And right now, again, I have the total income there, but I'll show you the breakdown. So here's the breakdown of July. I made $661 from Misty. This includes options premium for Misty and also dividend income from Misty. TSLL, again, this is mostly options premium. I believe I know they paid a dividend. I think it may have been actually July. I made TSLL. I made $983 off of TSLL, and then I made $911 off of TNA, and that is a total income of $2,555 from all three funds. So now I would pick that up and add that to the total income here. And obviously that income exceeds the goal of 2,100. So again, pretty easy beat right there, which is good. So I exceeded the income goal. So now I can mark that green for now, right? Cha-ching, check. Now for capital, my capital goal was $53,000. Last month, I actually hit my capital goal. However, this month was a little rough. As you know, the market has been taking a beat down. This actually does not include the August 1st beat down, which was recently on the past Friday. If you're watching this, new, but if not, obviously on August 1st, the market kind of tanked with tariff news. But this was actually before that. So it did go down a little, a fair amount further. So, but regardless, this is as of 7/31 close after the after hours. My capital was at 51,580. So that being said, I did not meet the capital goal of 53,000, which sucks, but it's okay. Hopefully next month we will regain it and go from there. But my yield on the actual capital, if you take the income and you multiply it by 12 and divide it by the capital, you get a 59% yield. All right, which obviously, yeah, that's pretty damn good, right? Because that exceeds the 50%. That's really what I'm looking for. Regardless of what my capital is, I'm looking for it to beat the 50% yield. All right, now capital loss. That's, basically that's how much I, did not beat the capital by. So I'm down 2.74%. So I got my hands full for the month of August in order to try to beat the new estimated capital. Again, it's going to be a little rough until this whole tariff thing gets straightened out, but we'll go from there. I also made a deposit. This is something I've been doing now as of late, because in the past I wasn't really putting money in, but I'm going to start to try to put $250 a month into not only this account but the Dividend car account. So I did add $250. However, if you notice, I'm not adding that into the equation of the capital. So this is more of a helper, right? An advance, a secret strategy to keep my capital afloat. All right, because if I added it, obviously, that would just add it to the capital, and then my capital would be increased. But I'm not going to do that. This is more like we'll call it a cheat sheet deposit, which will help boost my actual capital to the estimated capital. So that being said, now, I have a mortgage that comes out of this account for the most part. It's $1,300. It comes out automatically on the 1st. So obviously it would have come out July 1st. Now, taking out the mortgage from the amount of income that I made, what's left over? Well, 49% is left over. So that would be the percent I reinvested. Again, I like to keep this number at 50%. However, for the month of July, it wasn't the best month, but I hit my income goal, which is what matters. However, I just missed the 50% by less than 1%, but that's okay. That's okay. But overall, for the month, again, that's what matters. Income goal. I'd rather hit my income goal than my capital goal if I had to pick one. So, and just to give you an idea, this calculates all the way down. I think I have it stopped at like 2030 because, again, I don't know when I'm actually going to retire and be able to retire, but I would like to think that 2030 would be the latest that would happen. If all goes well, sticking to the same strategy, I would be making $13,700 a month. Is that a month enough to retire on this account alone? No, it's not. But there are other accounts, which I'll get into the other one in a second, keeping that in mind. But in between the two, as long as they kind of work out as intended, then yes, that 2030 date should be easy date to retire by, which is, at this point, 5 years away. All right. So moving on to now the Dividend car account. Again, both of these accounts are in taxable brokerages. If you're going to wonder, what do you do for taxes? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I have a job, right? I have a full-time job, W-2 job. All I do is I increase the amount of withholdings, for federal and state. I increase that on my paycheck. So my paycheck shrinks, obviously, by that amount. But I do take out, the income taxes that I calculate should be needed based on all of this income that you'll see in the video. So let's get that out of the way now, because I know that question always comes up. Well, what about taxes? What about taxes? Well, I adjust my W-2 and I take out more taxes. So, that it's paid essentially every 2 weeks. I'm paying, I'm fronting it now. I'm paying it throughout the year. So, that's pretty much it. If I didn't have a full-time job, what would I do? I'd probably make quarterly payments. Again, that's what's required. So that's what I would set up. Unless my brokerage could do it. I never really looked into that, to be honest, because as long as I have a full-time job, I'm able to do it that way. All right. Moving on to the Dividend car account. Again, why do I call it the Dividend car account? Because basically, it was set up to pay a car automatically, and then it kind of turned into something bigger. So let's look at the month of July. And again, I'll make this a bigger font. I'll do the 175 as well. All right. So for the week, weekly's income, if I go to the weeklies tab to give you guys an idea, what do I own in this account? I did buy more Ulti. I think I bought 200 more Ulti. I bought a whole bunch of stuff the other day. I didn't update this. I'm not sure how updated this is, but for the most part, I own a lot of the weekly paying funds in this account: XDTE, RDTE, QDTE, WTTE, QQQY, IWMY, YMAG, YMAX, YBTC, LFGY, GPTY, ULTI, SDTY, QDTY, RDTY, Chippity Doodah, and MST. Should I add MS2? Absolutely, I should. In fact, I'm gonna add that in now. I know that increases my exposure to MSTR and Bitcoin, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with increased exposure in Bitcoin. So, all right, these are the funds that I own, along with Misty, that pretty much, they're on autopilot and they pay the bills. So let's get to the summary real quick. How much did I make in weekly, income from the weekly payers? I made $1,390. Again, this is less. I mean, this is more than last month, but less than obviously in May. May was a really good month, but notable in August. August will have, 5 Fridays. So we'll have, because I think the first Friday landed on the 1st. So we're going to have a lot of payments. All right. We're going to have a lot of payments. And I expect a really good month income wise in August. So yeah, we'll see. But anyway, for the month of July, I made 1,390 from the weeklies. Misty dividend for this month was $1.24. It was 1.2382 to be exact, which kind of rounds up on the spreadsheet to be $1.24. And then if you, again, the visual shows $1.24, but I do have, if you look at the decimals, I do have the appropriate payment. So if I take that and I multiply that by the number of shares that I owned in the month of July, it comes to, which is 500 shares, it comes to $619. Obviously, that was a pay cut from the prior month for the Misty payment, but that's okay. And then, of course, there's the options premium section, which I'll go to the tab now. What did I do on options? Well, I actually sold a put on Misty, just like I did on my Retire Now account. I sold a put. It was only like 7 days. It was a week, 1 week out. And I did a $22 put to get Misty. And because I kind of wanted to buy more. So I figured, all right, I'll sell a put because, I sold a put at the money, and it turns out Misty tanked since. Obviously, we know where the market's been, but whatever. I got $40 in the process. That thing yielded me about 94% at the time. So if I go back here, options premium total $40. So total net income with Misty, options premium, and the weeklies, that paid me an amount of $2,449, which beat last month's income. So that's good. Account balance did go down from last month, unfortunately, as you can see. But again, keep in mind, this was, it was not, we were not having a good week. And this does include the after hours from August 31st, which, 8/1 was a complete meltdown. So it got much worse, but it did have some after hours effect, I believe, from that, the tariff news. But regardless, the account balance is now at $49,784 as of 7/31. All right. So what is my yield based on the income? I yielded 49%. Again, if I try to yield 50% based on like the other account, then I'm kind of at that number. So that's good. That's a good number. That's a good yield to have. If I look at the prior months, I was hitting 48 last month, 84 again, May, I whooped ass. And then again, April was 55. So this is lower as compared to some of the other months, but still pretty damn good. So moving along, again, share zone, that's just for Misty 500. My cost basis on Misty as of last month, at least, was $29.10. You could see as of August, that's when I got assigned. I now own 600 shares with a lower cost basis of $27.85. Car payment I have, which is $400. That doesn't change, right? That's every single month. We have a car payment, we have a car loan. It's around 8%, and we pay that automatically through this account, $400. We also have other bills that come out of this account, and I'll cover them right now. So if I go down here, I could show you what else comes out of this account. That's for June. So for the month of July, again, we have the car that comes out in the 6th. That's $400. We have a gas bill that comes out automatically. Again, cheap right now because we're in, the summertime. Obviously, gas is cheaper. $76.61, not bad. Internet and phone, this is pretty much around the same price every month. It's around $247.07. This includes the home internet, our cell phones, and whatnot. And then, of course, I always mention I paid for my parents' internet, $34.99. And then the electric bill in the summer is a disaster. You could see it jumped a lot actually from last month, $243. And you can see if we go back May, let's go back to how long we've been tracking this. Okay, so January, all right, it was $226, February $193, and then March $182, April $165, May $169, June it started getting higher, $243, and then July, the same as the car payment, basically $400.54. But again, the AC's running, the pool's running. It is what it is. This is This is how much it costs. It's nuts, I guess. Is that normal everywhere? I don't know. But it is where I live, and it's freaking crazy. But anyway, if you add up all of the bills together, all of the bills that come out of this account total $1,159.21. All right. So again, the weeklies and Misty, they pay weekly or monthly or whatnot, and their job is to pay all of these bills, right? So now if we go back to the spreadsheet, we have it broken down by car and then all other, because again, the whole point of this account was for the dividend car. So we're always going to separate that because it's its own little monster. So the other bills total $759, which again, we saw the total of the, all of them together. Interest rate, this is the interest rate on the car. So you can see for the month, because again, you're paying interest. I'm paying to the bank. The bank gives me a loan for the car. I got to pay them. That comes out automatically. It's calculated in the whole car payment, but I show it to be 131. And then there's margin interest. That went down a lot. As you can see, it was 119 in the month of June. However, I had a TQQQ position that sold, got assigned on the call. And since once that's sold, that sale paid off a lot of the margin. And now I only paid $31.08 in margin interest for the month of July, which I thought was rather cheap. Actually, let me go back. Let's see how cheap it was before. All right. So I guess it's kind of in line with the prior months. Again, I'm just trying to keep 3 months up so it doesn't confuse anyone. The car loan balance, right now I own $18,268. Can I pay that off from the account balance in this? Yes, I can. But I don't want to, again, because I'm yielding 49%, almost 50% on the money. So why would I pay off an 8.74% loan when I can make 50% on the money? Again, hopefully the capital does stay flat and it does well in time, but yeah, we'll see, man. Oh, sorry, the ending balance is actually just under 18 now. It's at 17,999. As mentioned before, I did deposit an extra $250 to help out this account. And extra money, what is that? Well, that's basically the difference between how much I made in income and how much I paid in bills. All right. So again, how much I made in income, $2,049. How much I paid in bills, $1,159. So extra income, well, extra reinvest. Let's see, extra money. Oh, that does include the $250 too. So it's kind of, again, like a cheat code. The $250, should I include that? Probably not, honestly. Extra money. But then that'll not reinvest. You know what? I guess I'll keep it. I'll keep it that way. I don't do that in the other account, but I probably should. Because if I always want to, if I take this number out, yeah, oh wow, I'm at 41%. So that $250 really helped me. So yeah, for now, I'm going to keep that in, but it's a notable for now. So the amount of money I was able to reinvest, quote unquote, was 54%. All right. So that's pretty much it, right? For this account, nothing really new. I don't I don't have like the track record or the goals, the breakdown, goal income, goal capital. I probably should, just to get an idea of where I expect to be, because again, the goal should also be a 50% yield if you think about it, right? And the goal capital should be the latest balance plus, the expected income minus the bills. I don't know. Maybe I'll work on something, but I don't have like the expected future income down the road. I probably should if I'm combining these two and I'm living off of these. But for now, I don't. Anyway, so that's the dividend car update. I hope that helped. Real quick, notable too on the bills. So the first account was through Schwab. They're a little harder to do bill pay. If you actually want to do bill pay through Charles Schwab, what you have to do is open up another account, unfortunately. However, there is a way through Charles Schwab to get they do have checking account information, such as a routing number and account number. So you are able to get that on the brokerage, right? Now, it's once you get that, then as long as whoever you're paying, if they allow you to pay through ACH method, like through your bank account routing number information, then you're good. So that's why I do the mortgage through that account, because the mortgage company, they're more than happy to accept ACH automatically, and they love auto bill. So they're like, yeah, of course. All right. So that was fine. Right. So that's for the retire now account. Now this account, I use Fidelity. Now Fidelity has bill pay through the actual brokerage. They don't require I open another checking account. I can actually, like this car payment. If you think about your normal bank and your bill pay, I was able to do normal bill pay through the bank account. I scheduled the payment to be sent to the bank that I own the car loan to. These others, they're all set up a little differently, but I believe some of them I gave the ACH and checking account number information. Some of them are just automatic. But either way, it doesn't matter. I have both options on Fidelity, which makes it much easier. And then the follow-up question from you guys would be, well, why don't you move everything to Fidelity if they have such great bill pay? And the answer is Charles Schwab has Thinkorswim, and I'm an options trader in heart. So, and I'm always going to do options. So I have to keep Thinkorswim. So unfortunately, I'm probably always going to have these two accounts as long as, unless they somehow combine one day, or, like Fidelity buys Charles Schwab or something like that. Or I know Fidelity offers like a similar platform like Thinkorswim. I just haven't tried it. I can tell you Fidelity options on the website. It's not that great. Neither is Charles Schwab on the website, but doing it on Thinkorswim is awesome. And the app is awesome, and everything, the interface is awesome, and I can't leave it. I'm not leaving it. So, and I'm also not leaving Fidelity, because Fidelity is awesome as well. So I'm happy to have both actually. And it works out because one, I pay someone to do it. And that is this account. I pay fund managers to make me the money, and the bills come out of the account. And you just hope everything works out. Hope for the best. If not, you can move around funds, and I will in time. Should I own all these weeklies? Probably not. I should probably mix, check who does better historically, total return. Maybe I'll do a comparison one day, and then I'll do a cleanup, right? Because now we have a fair amount of data that we can compare. Like, for example, SDTY, QDTY, RDTY versus, the Roundhill funds versus the Defiance funds. Why would I hold all of them? Why not just hold the best performer? Which obviously now I have a great video idea for the future, and I'll compare them all. I don't care if the strategies are different or not. They all own the indexes and they pay weekly. So to me, all right, which fund works the best? And again, we'll check like how long of a sample size we actually did have in order to do that. Again, just a thought for the future. I know you guys are going to probably hold me to it, and I will. I'll work on that. I promise. All right. So now that we went through the Retire Now account, now that we went through the Dividend Car account, we will now cover, can we retire on dividends? Can we finally retire on dividends and quit our full-time jobs? All right, let's see. Let's run the numbers. I'm going to zoom in 175% for you guys. Again, hopefully that's a nice view. And again, I'll keep the prior 3 months up for comparable. All right, so if I look at the Retire Now account with dividends and options, right? Let's go back real quick, make sure our numbers are accurate. $2,555, right? Yep. So that's the amount I made in options from the and dividends from the Retire Now account. Now, the dividend car account, I showed $2,049. Again, let's just double check, make sure we got that right. Yep, $2,049 in income on that account. So between the two, off dividends alone, we're looking at $4,600 for the month of July. No, you can't retire off of that. Absolutely not, especially with family. So okay, but don't worry, I have YouTube income. So for the month of July, YouTube paid me $3,614. Which is good. However, massive decline from June. June was my best month ever, though. That was a $1,200 pay cut. As you can see, YouTube is very inconsistent. It all depends, like on the because I've been having less and less time lately. I try to always do the daily videos, so those are what they are. But if I get an extra interview or an extra video posted, of course, yes, that's going to boost my income. But I can only do it as time allows. But yeah, big pay cut. However, I do have good news. Twitter, aka X, I got monetized in July for. So now Twitter pays me. All right. Again, this is like a true up though. I did make a lot in July, a lot for Twitter. And I made $416. Hold here. All right, sorry about that. All right, so I made $416, but as you can see over here, they pay every 2 weeks. So my normal payment should be around $175. I don't know. Maybe it'll go up. Maybe it'll go down. I have no idea. But that's for August. But for the month of July, I made $416. All right. So adding those incomes all together, I made $8,635.75. That comes to an annualized income of $103,629. And now, averaging, since I've been tracking this in September, my average annualized income comes to $106,000. That's how much I've been averaging, which seems like a lot. Oh no, yeah. So because I did have a lot of good months. Yeah, 110, 110, 109. All right, so that is my average, 106,000. However, based on the latest monthly income now, let's see, looking at my monthly bills, can I retire? Let's see. All right, let's see. So we go again, we're only looking at the last column, month of July. We have the mortgage, $1,300. Okay, we already know that. Property taxes, although that's a quarterly bill, I break it down by month. I take the quarterly payment of $2,070.45 and divide it by 3, so that comes to $690.15 per month. Yes, I know it's expensive, but I live in New Jersey, who has the highest property taxes, I believe, in the U.S. The homeowner's insurance, again, I'm assuming this is going to go up when I get the new bill, which I think it's towards the end of the year. But for now, I'll use the last bill, $1,849 divided by 12, and that's $154 per month. Car payment, as we said before, $400. Car insurance, $173. Right now, I can't get that automated for some reason. I don't know. It's not recognizing the account when I assign it to. So it's coming out of the Robinhood credit card, which is fine. At least I'll get the points for it. Because a lot of people ask me, why don't you just have everything go through the credit card and get the points? And the problem with that is then how am I going to have I like the auto bill pay. All right. Because a lot of times, like, you can't pay the mortgage with a credit card and things like that. So, points are great and all, but you know what's better? Living off your freaking, your brokerage. So that's why, I'll do everyday expenses with a credit card, but I won't do, the regular reoccurring monthly bills through the credit card anymore. Unless I have, I have to, which I have to on the car insurance right now. All right. Continuing down the line, water and sewer bill, that's a quarterly bill as well. 254 was my last one. If you divide that by 3, that's 84 a month. And then we have the gas bill of $76. Again, that was a low month. But, electric made up for it, of course. That was 400. And then we have the home internet and cell, 247. Parents internet, 34.99. Daycare, we still put my younger in 2 days a week. And that comes to 606 per month for 2 days a week. Healthcare, again, right now I work full time, so I pay for my healthcare through my job, and obviously they pay a portion, which is nice. However, it's a shitty plan, high deductible. A lot comes out of pocket, right? In fact, my deductible is, I think it's like $5,000, and my out of pocket for the year is $10,000 to $12,000. So I don't know. Again, I have 2710 as the monthly expense, which would just be for the premium. But some were saying that's a lot. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I'd rather have a higher number than I should, because you got to keep in mind, even if it's a lot, what about the other expenses like actual healthcare visits? Because if you have a deductible, you're going to have to pay all that, right? So again, I have no idea if this is a good number for healthcare, but for now, that's what I estimated it to be based on what I Googled. If anyone else lives in New Jersey and pays for healthcare for a family, please let me know. I'm curious to see what your expenses are. Groceries, again, I use Google for this. 1,656. Is that right? I don't know, but that's what I calculate to be per month for groceries. Miscellaneous. I was supposed to add something here. I forgot, actually. Let's see. What else? Like going out to eat, delivery, things like that, right? Should probably add another, 500? At least 500. I mean, probably 1,000 if you think about it. Should I make it 5? I don't know. Why is this format different? It's the alignment. All right, whatever. So miscellaneous, yeah, we'll say 1,000, because there's always miscellaneous, right? Especially with children. So the total of these bills, is it picking up miscellaneous? Yes. All right, is 9,534. So that is my total expense to live, to survive, to get by. All right. How much did I make? Scrolling up, I made 8,635. Obviously, I cannot retire on dividends. I'm short by 10.4%, which sucks. I know, but it is what it is, right? It is what it is, and it's not enough. So what do? You don't do anything. You keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going, and you can hopefully, these numbers will increase in time. The thing about YouTube is it's up, it's down, it's all around. So it's hard to get growth if I don't have any more time to pump out any more videos. So that's always going to be around this range, 2 to 4. I haven't hit 5. Maybe I get 5 sooner or later, but unfortunately, that is just a insane number. But I also keep in mind for YouTube, this is just YouTube. I have no sponsorship, no brand deals. I have never had any, in fact. But that is something I am looking into, and I will add to this spreadsheet once I have. Another income source I'll have very soon is going to be coaching, financial coaching of some sort, where I'll schedule time, an hour, with anyone who wants to pay to, discuss whatever. We could talk about options. We could talk about dividends. We could talk about whatever, right? Actually, let me unshare the screen. Stop sharing, and then we can pull up my ugly face. Add. Oh yeah, I gotta switch the look. There you go. I'm back. But yeah, so that's the update on the income. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna add coaching. I'll work on that. I'm not gonna be available much during the week, so my open schedule will be like probably 2 to 3 slots per week. But I'll throw that out there. Again, I have to think about what's a good price to pay. If you guys have a number, let me know what you think is a good price. What's a reasonable price? I have a thought, but I haven't gotten that far to commit to it. I have to commit to it mentally too, because it's hard for me to, think it's actually worth, like, I'm worth that, right? I'm actually, would be of good use to people. But again, it depends what they're interested in. To give you guys an idea, again, I know I can help you with options. If you want to start learning about options, I can help you with the basics of investing. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, so they have their own fees, right? They do their own thing. This will be just like, quote unquote coaching about anything, budgeting, things like that, retirement accounts, or high yield dividends. I could talk about any high yield covered call ETFs. I could break it down for you if you guys aren't comfortable with it. But yeah, that'll be a new field, a new income source that I'll have very soon. Again, it's all about time though. I just don't have it. So like I said, I'll add that. I'll add sponsorships or brand deals, whatever they call it, to the mix soon. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I have Instagram. I don't know how to be monetized on there. I don't even think Instagram's worth it. I'm not, I TikTok again. I don't know. I got to think about it, but that's pretty much it. So as you can see, that's why people always ask, why aren't you retired? Why are you still working? Well, that is why. I don't have enough income to support my expenses. Obviously, if I have an extra 40 to 50 hours per week, my YouTube and my Twitter is going to go up because I'll have more time to do that stuff. The coaching, that I'll do, I'll have more time for that. But if I make that move, am I actually going to have enough to live off of? That's the question. So I'd like to at least, I need to at least match what I need. In fact, I want to double what I need before I quit my job, just so I feel safe about it. Have a comfort level. Because if I underestimate any of these expenses and they jump too much, then I'll be screwed. But I don't know. That's kind of my thought on it. Figured I'd show my face just so you guys can feel like you're actually talking to someone versus a screen. At least on the portfolio updates. Let me know if that helps. If you like this part of it, because I never do the face. I don't know. I just feel like it's not needed half the time, but maybe it is. So you feel like you're talking to someone. All right, so that's the update. That's the update on everything. Retire now, this, that, the other thing. But hopefully that helped. Maybe, I don't know. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Again, something else I can help with the bill pay, broker bill pay. During coaching. I don't know. You guys let me know. All right. So that's the update for the month of July. Again, I'll do this again at the end of August, or when August is over. Again, I'm hoping to bring some good income numbers for August. So hopefully it'll get better. And then maybe it'll show that, okay, I made enough in August to retire. But, again, we got to make a lot more. All right. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, clearly. So this video is for fun and entertainment. Always keep that in mind. None of what I do, like the dividend card, I'm not recommending that at all. I'm not saying it's a smart idea. It's just an idea that I wanted to do, because just living off my job income, that's not enough for me. That's not, it was always, we always live paycheck to paycheck. And, I don't want to live like that anymore. So that's why I have both of these accounts helping us out, pay the bills, so we can live how we please. But at the same time, I want to be able to reinvest and reinvest and reinvest. Am I doing it the long way? Maybe, but at least I'm living life and working towards early retirement. So I'm doing both at the same time. Ideally, I could do some quick, crazy budget cuts. I could probably retire much sooner, but I'm not going to, sacrifice a whole year or two of living like rice and beans. You know what I mean? Dave Ramsey style. I'm not doing that. We're not doing that, especially now with kids. Forget about it, right? But anyway, if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button. If you have any questions or concerns, leave it in the comments below. If you have a video question for next month's coverage, let me know. I will add it. I will add a tab now, actually, right here. Oh no, you guys can't see the screen, so that doesn't really do anything. But I'm adding a tab now for video questions, and we will cover those questions. So you type video question in the comments, and you type your question. I'll bring it up on next month's. It'll be a month away. Next month's video. All right, sound good? All right, so yeah, so that's the update for July. We'll go from there. We're getting there, man. Hopefully I can do what this says up here and retire on dividends very soon. I would love to. And yes, of course, I'll do. Someone asked me today, when you retire, you're going to do YouTube still? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to. You know, it's one of my reliable sources of income now. So, of course, I'll do more YouTube. Definitely more interviews, for sure. Do a lot of interviews during the day. All right, so that's it. That's a wrap. I just want to say, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll see you on next month's update. All right. Hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully the market behaves, actually. Hopefully this tariff stuff gets resolved. But hey, you never know. All right. I'm out of here. Have a great day. Later.